Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Ankush here from Alif Consulting. Welcome in our Microsoft Ignite update video, right? In this video, we will be going to talk about all the updates which has been released for Azure DevOps and developer tools. Well, here are the updates which has been released in my Microsoft Ignite event. So we will be going to cover all of these updates in a deep dive, right? And all of these updates are related to the developer tool and the DevOps, right? So let's quickly jump into the deep dive and understand all of these Ignites update, right? So the first update which we have is for Azure Kubernetes Feed Manager, simplify the cluster management and the organization, right? Now, what is the feed manager is, right? So as we know, distributed cluster Kubernetes cluster management is complex and challenging, right? Like, take an example, you're running a multiple clusters and you need to go in each and every cluster to manage and do the changes, right? But with the Azure Kubernetes feed manager, a new service which is in a preview, like a simplify a multi-cluster management by enabling the centralized management of all the cluster at scale. Customer can group any combination of Azure Kubernetes service clusters to simplify cluster multi-cluster workloads like workload propagations and multi-cluster networking. With managing a Kubernetes feed, user need a Kubernetes cluster to store the configuration for placement policy and the networking. Azure Kubernetes Feed Manager create a managed hub cluster to solve the issues. Uh, Azure Kubernetes Feed Manager is also allow user to set up a load balancer for north to south traffic for a multi endpoint deployment across the member cluster, right? So the basic thing is this Azure Feed Manager is kind of a new service which is in a preview, but with this one, it's going to simplify how you manage your multiple clusters. So let's take an example. You are running a 10 or 20 cluster in your Azure infrastructure, right? And managing those 10 20 cluster is not going to be easy, right? But at the same time, if you have a centralized management point like a feed manager, you can manage all of your cluster at a single point, at a single management point, and you can do each and every deployment directly from there, right? So that's the purpose of Azure Kubernetes Feed Manager. Now the next update which we have is for software vendors. Now we have a independent software vendors can now create a one-click Kubernetes apps, right? So Kubernetes app in the Azure Marketplace specialized for the Kubernetes solution from the Microsoft independent software vendor, which is also known as a ISV. ISV members of the marketplace can now create, publish, and manage the commercial Kubernetes offering in Azure Marketplace with billing model, right? Customer can browse the catalog of the solutions specialized for the Kubernetes platform under the Kubernetes app offers in Azure Marketplace and select a solution for one-click deployment to the Azure Kubernetes service with a automated Azure billing, right? So what that means is, right? So with this one, if let's take an example, if there is any vendor who want to publish their Kubernetes application where they have a containerized application and they want to put that containerized application as an offering, that's something they can do now, right? They can put that offering under the commercial Kubernetes offering, and from there as a customer you can go ahead and buy that application and can simplify deployment at a one-click deployment on the Azure Kubernetes service with fully automated Azure billing solution, right? So this is a new update. However, this update is currently in preview, but soon it's going to be in the journal available, and software vendors partners can publish their application for the containerized with the containerized or specialized for the Kubernetes solution, and customer can use that and can deploy with the one click. The next update which we have is for Azure Monitor. So Azure Monitor have a new feature for app modernization and the innovations. With these two new features have introduced to help Azure Monitors customers modernize their cloud native environment and the support app innovations, right? All of these features are currently in preview. However, they are both going to be available in general soon. The first feature which we have is managed service for Prometheus. What that means is a new managed service will deliver the best of open source ecosystem while automating complex tasks like scaling, high availability, and long-term data retention. It can be used as a standalone within the Azure Monitor or Azure with Azure Monitor Container Insight and Azure Managed Grafana. Right. So this is the first update. The second update which we have is for Java profiling with Java Flight Recorder, which also known as a JFR, will allow customer to collect the data from Java virtual machines and the Java app for troubleshooting the performance issues. Customers can profile on demand or automatically with configured CPU and memory triggered, and can view and analyze recording with their preferred tool. So these are the new updates and new features basically released for app modernization and the innovation on the Azure Monitor. The next update which we have is Microsoft DevOps is now in preview, right? Uh, like as we seen, right, when we are using the physical workstation, is often a limit the developer productivity, because sometime developer might need some sort of operating system on their system to be run, but due to certain limitation they would not be able to run it. But now we have that capability available on the Azure known as a Microsoft DevOps. Getting set up with these resources required a support for admin team, and stretching them across the hybrid workstation can result in a security vulnerabilities, right? So when you want to have a multiple system or multiple things to be running on a workstation, can cause a security vulnerabilities, and even uh, can make extra workload on their admin team, right? But now we have a new service called Microsoft DevOps is available, which provide developers with self-service access to high-performance cloud-native workstations, which are pre-configured and ready to code for specific projects. Right? Visual Studio images for DevOps are now general available on the Azure Marketplace. These ready-to-use images ensure developer can be productive as soon as they created a DevOps by leveraging the commonly used Visual Studio functionality as well as the complementary tool. Now, this DevOps can be used by any developer. They can go ahead and create their machines directly in Azure. They can use it once their work is done. They can go ahead and delete those images as well. At the same time, if they really don't want to run any kind of developer tool on their local machine, they can take the advantage of DevBox and can run each and every components or every tool directly on the Azure DevOps machine. Right. So the next update which we have is for Azure development environment is now in preview, right? What that means is, uh, as we know, developing and testing the environment is as critical for the developer working on a complex modern app that rely on cloud services. Unfortunately, it's take days, if not week, to get the access to these resources once they are deployed, right? Organization can struggle to ensure the resources run into the secure and complicated way. Now with this one, with this Microsoft have released a new Azure deployment environment, which is currently in preview, but this allow or enable developer team to quickly spin up a app infrastructure with project based template that establish consistency and best practices while maximizing the security, compliance, and the cost efficiency. So this is what you can do by using the Azure deployment environment. Next update which we have is for Azure GitHub. Now Azure GitHub have the advanced security for the Azure DevOps, which is currently in preview. With GitHub high GitHub Advanced Security for Azure DevOps provide a native app security solution within the Azure DevOps platform. New features currently in preview will enable organization to easily identify and fix the exposed secrets and vulnerable open source dependencies across the software lifecycle. Advanced security for Azure DevOps will include a powerful and accurate code QL code scanner to identify any code vulnerability or the error in the code. These new features are seamlessly integrated within the developer workflow to help developers implement the security earlier in the software development lifecycle to find and fix the security issue before they deploy it, the software to the production, right? So this is what a new security options or advanced security options available for the Azure DevOps, where your code is going to be scanned by CodeQL, where it's going to identify the vulnerabilities and error in the code, and from there you can fix all of those codes and errors to fix your vulnerabilities before deploying directly into the production environment. The next update which we have is for the Visual Studio. Now the new version of Visual Studio, which is Visual Studio 2022, is generally available. With this one, we are getting a new productivity features, new toolkits for building the Microsoft Team apps, performance improvement for C++ development, and tooling for .NET multi-platform app UI. Right? This technology helps users to build and ship .NET client apps to Android, iOS, Mac OS, and the Windows from a single code base. Right? The next update which we have is for Azure API management. Microsoft and Postman partner on the Azure API management, right? So what that means is, so they both have, as we know, the Postman is one of the biggest tool for API management or API testing or integrations. So Microsoft have signed the agreement with Postman to collaborate on a product integration with co-marketing initiatives. This partnership aims to speed up the API development, enabling developer to bring a new innovation to the market faster. The initial support include the capabilities to import the API from Azure API management into the Postman, and Azure Initiative export of APIs and API endpoint into the Postman collection. So this is something which is a new partnerships between Microsoft and Azure Postman. Microsoft and Postman partner for the Azure API management. The next update which we have is for Azure Communication Service launching call automations. As we know, Azure Communication is a kind of new services which allow us to have the calling, email, and SMS service. With this service, there is a new call automation feature has been enabled, a set of APIs currently in preview, which help developer to build a server-based intelligent calling workflow, right? This new feature will help developer steer and control the public switched telephone network, which is also known as a PSTN, or VoIP calls within their app for daily appointment booking and the other updates, product updates, order updates to cloud the complex customer outreach for marketing and customer services. Call automation with Azure Communication Services will simplify the delivery of personalized customer interaction. Right? The next update which we have is for Service Bus. Now we have a Service Bus Explorer capability directly from the portal. We don't need to have any kind of Service Bus tool or Service Bus Explorer tool to do the Explorer capability. Now simply that something can be done directly from the Azure portal. The next update which we have is for Azure App Services. Now Microsoft have introduced a new features that allow user to modernize their workload and innovation faster, and these updates include large SKU options with 64 GB, 128 GB, and 256 GB support to more demanding workload with App Service Environment V3. This will be generally available in November. A 14-day prior notice for planned platform maintenance in ASC3 will be in preview in November. Customer will be able to choose a specific time windows when the platform maintenance will need to be happened. Support for latest version of .NET 7, Python 3.10 and 3.11, PHP 8.1 and 8.2. Node 18 helps organization run their most popular apps on Azure App Service, enabling the faster time to market using the latest Azure Cloud Native capability. This will be generally available in November. Go language natively support on Azure App Services for the first time, currently in preview. Developer can now innovate faster using the fully managed app services platform service for the cloud-centric web app. So these are the new features which are there for Azure Web App services. The next update which we have is for the confidential framework. Now, Microsoft Azure Managed Confidential Consortium framework is in currently preview. As we know, this is a new Azure services that offer execution of the CCF open source software development kit as a managed service is now in preview. This will eliminate the need of developer to stand up, maintain, and manage their own infrastructure to support CCF based services. CCF is an open source framework for building high availability stateful service that's require a decentralized trust with centralized compute for ease of use and performance. With the Microsoft managed confidential framework, allow developer to build, deploy, and manage multi-party application on a secure and governed network for ease of use, integrity, performance. These network utilization centralized confidential computing capability within the hardware-based trusted execution environment. So this is the new framework for confidential framework which has been released by Microsoft. Currently, this service is in a preview, but soon it will be going to be available into the general availability. The next update which we have is for job seekers. So Microsoft is creating a program to connect the job seekers within employment opportunity, right? Microsoft is creating a new employment program that will help seek to connect with the job seekers, graduate student, career changes or job changes will with employment opportunity within the Microsoft partner and the customer ecosystems. Job seekers will have opportunity to round out their skills through self paced training on the Microsoft Learn or acquire the skill at the school within the Microsoft Learning for Education program through workspace development partner or instructor led training courses delivered by Microsoft Learning partners. Job seeker will have opportunity to stand up to employers by displaying their learning efficiency on the LinkedIn with will be accepted into the private LinkedIn group where employee will be able to engage with the potential hire, right? So this is the update specifically for connecting the job seekers with the employment opportunities, right? Well, that's it in this video. I hope you like this video. If you like, please click on like and subscribe for more upcoming videos, and feel free to reach us if you have any questions. Thank you.